So apparently we're gonna lose gravity for 4 hours, and yeah, don't know, but apparently it's on there. Right, so we are ready to go. So let's just see if there's any news from anybody tonight. I just did, Bill. Can you imagine? Right, I just did a 1 hour 30-minute live. Right, trying for people to try and guess the film, and I gave so many clues for the film "Whistle Down the Wind." Right, and nobody could guess it.
No, Whistle on the Wind. Haley Mills,
Haley
Alan
Mills,
Bates,
yes. Alan
Alan
Bates, yes.
Bates, Alan Bates. Yeah,
And I was giving clues away like her father was knighted for his services to the film industry, and they still couldn't
yeah.
get it.
John Mills. Yeah, all there.
Exactly.
Julia
Right,
Mills, her sister.
Set in Yorkshire, on a Yorkshire
set
farm.
in Yorkshire. Yeah, I said
Yeah.
it.
Sorry, I got a mask on, so I can't breathe.
Oh well,
You
that's
can't
no
breathe.
good, is it? That's no good. That's no good. Bill, I got your check in the post, which is brilliant.
Okay, thanks,
Anyone
Carl.
anyone that needs to pay class fees, I know some of you already have, but just a reminder: class fees £50 for the next 2 months, September, October. I've mentioned it again. That's fine. Anyway, thanks to the ones that have already paid. Right, so we're going to crack on. Bill, any news from you, darling?
Oh, I wish there was, Carl. I wish there was. There's lots and lots out there, isn't there? I don't know where to start, so no, I'm not going to start anywhere. Pass.
Cadu want to know when you're going to start looking at some of the
Oh,
scheduled
yeah,
sites.
sorry. Our Sunday walk took us past the Bodvik stone, the only ancient inscribed stone on Margam Mountain. So I took a photograph or two, and also the Tumpath Diwlith, which is a Bronze Age burial mound excavated by Sir Mortimer Wheeler in 1921. I took a photograph of that as well. So what do I do next?
But basically, obviously, have you had the description sheets over, or do you want me to send them over?
Will you send them through me, Carl, please?
Yeah, okay, Bill. Okay, right. I'll get them over. Thank you, Bill. Bill, I really appreciate you doing that. I really do, and so does Cadu. Thank you very much. So, Bill, send description sheets. I'll get them. I'll get Rona to get you some printed copies over as soon as possible. And when you've done them, you just need to get the sheets back to me, say in the post. It's probably easier just to do them in the post rather than the internet. And then you're going to have to get the photographs over to me via email, and that's fine.
And I also took a photograph of Llangonnyd Castle, 12th century. But
you said that was in a bit of a mess.
Cadw should hang their head in shame because you can hardly see the thing now. The mound is totally overgrown. You just see where the curtain wall was and the entrance. That's it, you know.
This is exactly why we're doing this, Bill. So if it, well, by the sounds of it, you got it in one photograph. You don't need 12 images of overgrowth, do you? So
okay then,
Bill, that is absolutely great. As long as it's a scheduled ancient monument site, then Cadu want to know about it. If it's not scheduled, then it's not our remit. So
how do we know? I'm assuming they are.
Well, Bill, all the ones that you've mentioned are. What we'll do, I will get Rona to get you a scheduled list over.
Okay, thank you.
That's the least we can do. So that's brilliant. So excellent.
Right.
So apparently London's going up in flames at this minute because there's grass fires. Right, Goff, any news from you, darling?
No news.
No, can you? You Goff?
No news.
Oh, we can hear you now. We can hear you. Richard, anything from you? Are you going to see the new Gary Glitter comeback gig at the Barry Memorial Hall next week?
Oh, probably.
Yeah, well, I've already got tickets for me and Goff to go, so that's good.
Actually, the only news I got is the weather in Barry must be picking up now. I found a dead cockatiel in the garden this morning.
Oh dear.
What?
Cockatiel.
Oh no, it's not. It's not flown from.
Hang on, Anne. He's trying to talk. Let him talk. He's telling us the weather's bad. I need a bag now.
He said he's a joke.
No, it's escaped from somewhere. And I found it dead in the garden.
You have to put an ad on Facebook.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to put an ad on Facebook saying I found a cockatiel in the garden.
Yeah.
So Anne, is that a good? Go on. Anything from you, Owen?
Hang
He's
on.
not there. Oh,
Nothing, sorry.
Right. Okay. And I tell you what.
yes,
Um,
they found, I know everybody knows this, but they found another villa in North Wales near Wrexham.
No,
And
they've
it's
been excavating it for years.
in a place called Roster.
Rosset.
Rosset, yeah. Oh, all right then.
Actually, Anne, I'm very pleased you've reminded me, because apparently we're supposed to be doing an article on that in the next magazine. So they have just started excavating at the Rosset Roman Villa. It's been excavated for a few years. I do believe Chester University students are involved in the excavations.
Yeah.
And Anne, I will be doing an article on that in the magazine. So thank you very much for reminding me. Thank you.
Yes, it is Chester University, and I've been to Chester with the group.
Yes, you have. Yes, you
And
have.
did Bill come? I'm sure
Yes.
he did. Yeah.
He did go on
You
that one.
know, if they hadn't gone, I would never have gone. I would never have gone to these places. You know, that actually what's the name took us. They were slightly just out of the way.
Exactly, Anne. I'm
Well,
glad.
I know chess is not, you know, it's a renowned Roman town, you know, but there is a lot more there than Rome, you know.
Do you mean
Exactly.
Chichester, Anne?
No, Chester. Yeah, there was also a Chichester trip as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chichester was very good, yeah.
But you didn't do that in the same trip, so you did it. Yeah,
No.
exactly. Right. Okay, then. So we are now going to go on to Henry, and then we're going to start.
No news this end. All very quiet.
We are now going to go on to Henry, and then we're going to start.
You just said that.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get him to say something.
Yes.
I just have.
Have you?
Yeah, and you're frozen again.
No, I'm not.
Oh, that's your reception.
Well,
That's
I haven't said a word.
You're out of
Henry,
sync.
you live up on the hill.
Oh.
You're too far above sea level.
I don't know if any of you have ever seen that film House on the Hill. That is one of the worst. That was one of the most terrifying horror movies ever.
Oh.
I had nightmares about it for years. Right. It's about a mental asylum, and don't go there. Right. Right. Okay. We're gonna get started, and we
That's got nothing to do with
we've got a nice number tonight. And I've started, right, and now I got to finish, right. So
yeah.
Pat is apparently she's on the Tuesday group at this minute. So it's because Henry upset her last week. So she's doing yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Would you like me to go on the Tuesday group? Maybe get another man instead.
No, Bill loves you. Bill loves you, and Goff loves you on a Wednesday. We love you here. So
well, you know,
and Bill, don't wind me up, please.
No. Come on, then. Let's go.
Right, I'm trying to work. Right, I'm trying to work out. Are you seeing any images on the screen at this minute?
No.
You were frozen.
No.
And you're talking into a tin can again.
Am I?
Oh
my God. I don't know what's gone wrong tonight. Right, but just see. 1 second.
Have you paid your electricity bill?
1 second.
He doesn't know what that is.
Oh.
What, solar? Yeah. Hang on a minute. My screen has frozen quite. It's not good. So what's gone wrong with the technology? Hang on. Right, it's totally frozen a minute. Hang on.
Is that Russian spy ship still off Dookie?
I'm lost a minute. Hang on. It is still there. It is still there. Yeah. Right. Okay. I've seen Boris recently. Hang on. What's gone wrong? Okay. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to try. Am I online at this minute?
No.
No.
Oh,
Hang on. When you say no, you're hearing me.
Yes.
Yeah, no picture of you. There's
Oh,
no
right,
icon for you.
That's even better.
Oh.
So I'm
well,
just
you're
gonna.
there now.
Oh.
You're there now.
Right. Okay. I'm going to try and get my images up.
You
Right.
look
Come
as though
on.
you've
Right. Here we
accepted
go.
the-
It's happening. Something's happening. Right. Here we go. I'm hoping that you'll be seeing an image coming up on the screen in a few moments. Right. Are you seeing an image on the screen of a load of Romans and a Roman road?
No,
No.
no.
You've gone on the side now instead of on the top. The pictures, the panel. It says you started screen sharing, but yeah. Oh,
I can see Anne.
oh. Yes, I'm here. I can see Richard,
Mhm.
Goff, Bill. Right. Where is he? Is he in the caravan tonight or?
Yeah.
He's gone.
Oh. It's very difficult, you know, when you think it's going to be cool, and then it gets hot again.
Yeah.
No, I thought when you said, oh, Richard, when you said, I know it's getting warmer, I thought that was like, but I found a parakeet in my garden, and that sounded like it flown from, you know, Puerto Rico or somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's sad,
Yeah,
yeah.
someone's pet.
Did you bury him?
Pun?
Have you buried him?
Yeah. Plant him in the garden.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, there's all the parrots or parakeets in Puerto Rico are green, and their national animal is a frog. You know those frogs with the sticky feet. You know, like
Oh, yeah.
they go tree frogs, I think they're called. Yeah, that's their national animal.
Animal.
Oh, dear. What can the matter be?
Well, has anybody been anywhere this week
What, outside Wales?
outside your home?
Scotland.
You what?
Scotland. North of the border.
Where did you go?
Scotland.
Oh God, that's a long way.
Yes, it was. I won't be doing it again.
No, in the car.
Yes.
Oh no, it's a long. I only go to Lancashire, and that was enough. Lancashire and to the coast, so it's like 200 and something, and then 50 to the coast. No, it's too far up there. You need to fly. Although it's not very good for you to fly. That's the only thing. Maybe.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I don't know where he's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Time for a rebate.
All right.
I'm ready back.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want a quiz about kings?
A quiz.
Yeah.
Oh, go on then.
Who came after William the First?
Oh.
Come on, man.
William II.
Yep. Who came after William the Second?
Edward.
No.
Stephen.
Close.
Like
Henry the
Matilda.
First. Henry the First.
Matilda.
Henry the First, then Stephen was it?
Then
Ah.
Stephen, yeah.
Yeah.
After Stephen?
Ah. Oh God, this is something I don't know because I keep forgetting all the time.
Henry the Second. After Henry the Second? Richard the First.
Richard the First, John.
Then John. Yep. Then Henry the Third. And the next one's easy.
Well, there's all the other trees, right?
Edward I, Edward II, Edward III.
Oh, yeah.
Richard II, Henry IV, Henry V, Henry VI. Edward IV, Edward V, Richard III, Henry VII, Henry VIII, Edward VI, Mary I. Oh, who's after Mary I?
Which was threatening.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, Elizabeth.
Then James I, Charles I, Charles II, James II, William and Mary, William and Mary.
Anne Gloriana.
Yeah, Anne. Then, what we got there? After Anne.
George 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, good. After George IV.
William 3.
No, William IV.
Ah.
Then Victoria, and you know the rest. The rest is easy.
Oh, right. Oh, you'll have to write them down for me.
George, Elizabeth.
I'll have to write them down.
Yeah, Victoria.
Okay, the Duke of Kent died of he like one of the Dukes of Kent. I only saw this last night. Used to like going to Sidmouth because he didn't want to be like his brother or Edward or father, and he didn't want to go to Brighton, so he used to go to Sidmouth. And he actually died in Sidmouth.
Who went to Bognor and said Bugger Bognor?
Oh, Bognor.
No, one of them went there and said Bugger Bognor. Was it William IV?
Oh.
He had a short one, didn't he? Yeah. He went there for the benefit of his health and then he died.
Can anyone actually hear me?
Yes.
Oh, Carl, you're back.
Have you actually got an image on your screen?
No.
Nothing.
Yes, I can see Anne.
Are you seeing an image of some Roman soldiers on a road?
No.
No.
Can't you just talk about the Roman soldiers in the road, where they're going?
No, there is something wrong with my with my browser.
Carl, I have my money back.
Can't access your camera. Refresh your browser to start again. I've never done that before, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Right,
You just
okay.
need to get that thing that goes round, like the refresh button on the top of the browser.
Why don't we all log out and go to the pub?
Right, so I'm just trying to get the images up now. You can't see
there
them.
Oh, there we are.
Right, okay then. Right, everybody, right. I think there's too much talking going on. If everyone can just let me flow, I will try and speak to Bill, right? To make sure this is all working. So Bill, are you seeing a load of people like building a road, yeah?
It looks like that way, yes, it does. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So,
There's people. I don't know what
Anne, please. Right. Bill. So, I just wanted to mention, I'm going through my little archive and chucking things in the bin, but this was one of the, I had this little card, and I've been meaning to chuck this on you for a long time, right? To start off the lecture. So tonight is a mixture of different things. So last night we've actually decided on Tuesday that we're going to be doing one other lecture a month that is not the Roman period. So next week we're going to be doing a lecture that's not the Romans, right? And obviously the other 3 lectures are in a month are going to be the Romans, right? So that's going to start next week. And what we're going to be doing next week is going to be a complete surprise to you all next week, but I'm sure you'll really all enjoy it. So I'm going to start off with, you know, a couple of images off my phone. And as I've been doing recently, and I'm going to ask Bill a question. Bill.
Yes.
Do you believe that the events of AD 79 on the 24th of August between 12 and 1 o'clock are all due to the eruption of Vesuvius?
That's a good question.
Because, Bill,
the popular answer is yes, of course. But a lot was happening before that.
But Bill, if you focus on the date AD 79, right, some archaeologists are now questioning the levels of heat that were created in regards to those events that occurred at Herculaneum. And lots of people are discussing why so many people are found at Pompeii seemingly oblivious of the events that were actually occurring, right? So this is something that I might be researching on a later date. Well, lots of the bodies that are found, you know, the molds of the bodies that are found at Pompeii are seemingly in moments of total normality. And then it's seemingly that they died. And some archaeologists are actually starting to question what exactly happened. And some volcanologists are saying that the heat required in regards to Herculaneum, Pompeii, Stabae, and in regards to Plontus, there may be other things at work, but we're not going to talk any more about that. But I'm just going to put that cat amongst the pigeons. And one thing I'm also going to do, Bill, right, is tackle the title there. Artificial Intelligence Deciphers Ancient Scrolls Burnt by Vesuvius. Now, nobody is questioning the ability of artificial intelligence to read the scrolls, right? So they're using high resolution light to be able to unravel the writing in these scrolls. But as lots of people know, artificial intelligence is based on what is already being published. How do we know that artificial intelligence isn't just making this up? Bill, that's a question.
I'm not qualified to answer anything about artificial intelligence because I'm not quite sure how it works. I'm still studying it.
Right, basically, artificial intelligence works as follows, right? Some of you have got ChatGPT, some of you have got other things that are to do with artificial intelligence, right? You either pay for it or you don't. But one of the things that people have been saying, particularly artists, is that artificial intelligence cannot create original pieces of artwork because artificial intelligence bases all its ability to create art on material that's already been created. So in regards to research, there's an issue that we've got tonight that is to do with me and Henry, a question that I asked Henry, right? And we're going to do that tonight as well. Henry's answer is not based on artificial intelligence, but when you do research on the internet, in a way, everything that we're coming across on the internet now is to do with artificial intelligence. So the only way to really test whether artificial intelligence deciphering these scrolls is genuine is to actually take some of the layers off the scroll to test the artificial intelligence. If the artificial intelligence is correct, then the information on cutting that scroll to bits will correspond with the artificial intelligence. If it doesn't, we've got a problem. I thought I'd leave that with you. So the next image that we do have is this. Bill, you can't make this up. And I do love finding these things on the internet as the weeks go by. We're looking at pure magic. And I love seeing images like this. And what you've got this sort of collapsed piece of flooring that they're now excavating at Pompeii in 2026. Now, when I was a child, one of my aims in life was to actually put a roof over Pompeii, and that's actually happening, which is brilliant. One of the other aims was actually to buy Kaliva Atrabatum and reconstruct all of it. But mind you, one of the other aims was to invade Poland. I don't think I'm going to achieve either of those, but the point is that this is actually happening. But this, we would not be seeing any of this today if this had been excavated, for example, in the 1800s or 1750. That floor would not exist because it would have just gone through that and just removed it and gone down to the ground level, right? There are areas of Pompeii, not Herculaneum, mind you. There are areas of Pompeii that are completely overgrown that may have looked like this when they were excavated. But now what they're doing at Pompeii, they're preserving the archaeology as they're excavating it. This is something that I first witnessed, not in Pompeii. This was something that I witnessed when I was involved in an archaeological excavation in Spain. We were funded to be in Spain by the European Union to be involved in an archaeological excavation at a village northeast of Madrid, a place called Santa Maria, right? And when we were excavating, weirdly enough, after they had mapped everything, behind us, they were reconstructing the site. It was amazing. It was really brilliant, right? And that's exactly what they're doing at Pompeii. And in many ways, Bill, did you know, Bill, oh, and by the way, they've requested that I do more. They requested that I do an Egypt lecture, right? So that's something else I'm going to mention in a moment, right? So you can all think about this when we ask questions, right? What they're doing in ancient Egypt now is when they're finding broken pots in a tomb, they're gluing the pot together, right? Instead of putting in a tray and somebody spends a year trying to put it together, they're gluing the pot together in the tomb. So when it comes out the tomb, it's basically intact. And those are some of the techniques that are used in ancient Egypt, right? So before we go off this image, I want to give you all a chance, right? It's not all about Tuesday evening. And I'm really pleased that you bared with me tonight to try and get technology working, right? And hopefully it doesn't go wrong again tonight, touch wood. But I just wanted to say this. If there's a topic that you want me to cover on that first Wednesday of the month going forward, so I've got 12 lectures to prepare on a Monday, not on a Monday, on a Tuesday, right? Probably on a Monday and a Wednesday, right? Which isn't Roman, right? You've got a chance to influence that. We've already got Egypt. We've also got another lecture on Etruscans, and we've got the Picts. So if you guys have got a lecture that you want me to do, right, you can add that to the list. So you can mention that in the break, right? So anyway, moving on to another image. Again, I picked this off the internet. I've no idea where this is, but it's a wonderful image. But the next image, right? The next image is this. Now, I've shown this to you before, right? And somebody asked a question last night. This is actually at the Old Bailey. And I do believe that this is at a place that some of the last things that people were seeing before they were sentenced, right, would be the stretch of wall. I've shown this to you before, but this is actually in situ at the Old Bailey, right? And this is a stretch of Roman tile, right, with Roman building material on top, right? But one person asked a question. They said, this looks Roman. The tile is obviously Roman. But if this is in London, why is the wall constructed in this way? Is this actually a Roman wall? That is a question. Is this base a Roman wall? Right? It doesn't look Roman building. Now, that's an interesting question because we almost always say that there was no archaeology in Londinium before the Romans started building the city after AD 45. So what is this wall? Is this actually a Roman wall or is this something else, right? We're not talking about aliens or anything, right? But is there something Iron Age in London that actually spurred the Romans to build there? The story that I tell and the story that most historians and archaeologists tell about Londinium is that there was nothing there, right? But I do actually occasionally say that we do find flints there. We do find little bits of evidence before Roman era London. What is this? Is that a genuine piece of Roman wall? We know this is, but what is this underneath? And I made the mistake of, and I'm just going to check that as well. I made the mistake when I was cutting this off the internet, right? Somebody shared this on Facebook and they said, look at this, Karl, wouldn't this be great to stay in somewhere like this? So you've got a hypercore system and you've got like suspended floor. The Greeks invented suspended floors and then the Romans took it over in regards to hypercore systems. But this is a modern suspended floor with glass, right? And you can stay in this locality. I don't think it's in the UK. I think it's in France, right? But you can stay in a locality and you're actually looking at Roman remains underneath. And this is one thing that I keep saying. What we need to do, we need to make history and archaeology relevant, like what we've seen in regards to when we're looking at the McDonald's, which is just a little bit south of the center of Rome, where they've got this McDonald's, you can actually look at a Roman street underneath, like you've got a restaurant in the likes of Colchester. You can actually look down and you can see some Roman remains. Great. I love this because it makes history and archaeology very, very relevant. And the problem is, obviously, I can't pull rank anymore because I'm working with Cadu. But one of the things that I would say is that much of the archaeology being done now is not relevant. So we've got archaeological excavations, for example, going on in Atlantic Major, and then it's all covered up, and you're thinking, well, I know that it's interesting work, but when it's covered up, it's no longer part of the community. Whereas archaeology like this is, and that's my only criticism, right? When we're looking at this, for example, I love this. Now, I've mentioned this to you before. In 1988, beneath the streets of London's Guildhall, they actually found part of the Londinium or Londinio amphitheatre, right? And it's actually underneath the Guildhall. You can actually see it. You can actually see the bit of the curve of the wall. I can remember them excavating this, and it was amazing, right? I got a press cutting somewhere, and I just really, really love this type of thing. And one of the things that I've always said that is, if I ever win the lottery, right, or suddenly end up with a load of money, right, I'm going to hire a bus, and for the people in the other class, they're going to go to York with me, right, and we're just going to jump out the minibus, and we're going to a group is going to go looking at the wall around York, right, and the others can just bugger off to the Jorvik Viking Centre, right? But one of the things that I wanted to do, and I'm sure Bill would be interested in this, that I get a researcher on the ground in London, right? And we get access to every single piece of Roman remains in London, right? In the car parks, Guildhall, the Old Bailey, all these places. and I would love to do that. But I'm sure as chicken don't have teeth, right? That we'll come back and Bill will say, "Did we visit this place?" And I say, "Oh no, we didn't, Bill." Right? But there's something I'd love to do. So, this is going to go in the next magazine about Fonmon, so we'll do that. So, what I wanted to do tonight is this is to do. Actually, tonight's lecture was meant to be looking at this Roman glass shop in Colchester. Well, that's not going to be next week. That's going to be the week after. And it's been quite a busy time for me recently. And I did actually have communication with the Colchester Archaeological Trust. And they sent me a link of the report to do with the 1927 excavations to do with the glass shop in Colchester. And I realized this yesterday. Do apologize. So we're going to do that in about 2 weeks. So you get an idea. Now, one of the things that really interests me, and I don't really know why we got the Alchester image on there, but one thing that really does interest me, which came up in discussion again on Tuesday night. I'm sorry to keep mentioning Tuesday, but you guys get a refined class on a Wednesday, because it usually gets rid of all those sort of questions and it's all sort of a little bit more PC. So, and it's all sort of watered out. And one of the questions that we had on Tuesday, and something that I add to the discussion now, which I've been thinking about the past few days, is I mentioned places like Viraconium, Wroxeter, and we mentioned places like Cleveland, Gloucester, and we mentioned places like Lindham, Lincoln, and Caliver, Atrebatum, Silchester, and Londinium, London, and all these other places, right? But the question came up was Karl, these places are basically Roman cities, really. Silchester, Caliver, Atrebatum became a Roman city, right, for local people. So, but what about all these other places? Can you look out for them? And I thought, right, there are loads of other towns and cities in Roman era Britain. It's just we don't talk about them, right? This is one of them. This is Water Newton. And one thing that I started thinking about, right, is quite clear, is that, and I'm going to do a comparison, right? You go to Silchester, Caliver, Atrebatum, there's no town or city nearby, but it's still got a more or less complete Roman wall around it. Yeah. You go to Colchester, it's got a big chunk of the Roman wall around it. You go to Exeter, it's got a big chunk of the Roman wall around it, right? You go to Kentchurch, which is near Hereford, a Roman city, there's no wall to be seen around there, but there's discussion it had a wall. And you go down this rabbit hole and you start to think, even Hadrian's Wall is still there, right? So why are there so many localities in Roman era Britain where there are no walls to be seen anymore, even though in brackets there were supposed to be walls? And I've been thinking of that, and I've been wondering about that, and maybe the archaeology is wrong, because even though there might be footings of a wall, right, the wall may have never been anywhere near full height, because as you can see, if somebody's going to nick the stone from there, they must have come a long bloody way to nick it, right? When in fact, they didn't nick the wall from Caliver Atrebatum, right? And it's still there, right? If you want to build a city like Eboracum, York, you steal the wall. But lots of the Roman wall is still around Eboracum, York. You see the dichotomy that I'm up against. So this is Water Newton, and there's and the other thing that was asked of me, right, is where is all this industrial activity going on across Britain? And there's loads of notes that I could mention about this locality, right? But there's loads of stuff at Water Newton. We'll come to this place again, right? Because when we're talking about places like Chelmsford, right, where we found a pro-post Boudiccan city, which we've looked at, between Colchester and Londinium. There's lots of industrial activity going on there, and this is industrial. This is an industrial place that is born out of Iron Age into the Roman world, with lots of Iron Age people working there. And this is probably one of those localities like Water Newton. One thing I would like to say is as follows. This site's history into the 400s is poorly known, though presumably neither be an administrative centre or a capital. But this would have been an increasingly useful locality to understand the AD 400s, but it simply fell off the map of history, like many of these wayside Roman towns and cities and settlements across Roman era Britain. Let's go on to another site, right? This is a rather interesting site known as Chesterton-on-Foss. Now, in many ways, this site is one of those little dinky-do little settlements. On Foss, basically, it's associated with the Foss Road that goes all the way from Exeter all the way through to Lincoln, right? And there it is. It's Chesterton-on-Foss, or Foss, or Fossa. So you're thinking, hang on a minute, right? There's a couple of things about this. It's a queer little shape, but it's along the Foss Way, the Foss Road, the Fossa Road. And it's a weird shape. It's a very, very weird shape. And I discussed this just a little bit, not too much. And this, like many of these places, is an English heritage site. Excavations in the 1920s. They found a big ditch around the outside, evidence of a really low-lying wall. And you're thinking, where is the wall now? Was it ever anything like full height? And why is it so small? What is this about? Trapezoidal shape, hardly Roman in shape, but it's definitely alongside this important Roman road. And one of the points that I have mentioned is that if you're going to have this settlement with like a wall around it and gates and all the rest of it, and a ditch around it, right? You can't go any further along the Foss Way if the gates are closed. So having gates and having an accessible road is a misnomer. And if you're going to have a settlement that's protected, why do you then allow people just to walk through it with their carts? There's a few things that don't make sense in what I'm saying. But unfortunately, lots of these things have not been thoroughly excavated or understood in the archaeological record. And we can come back to these things again. Now, this is another place, right? Not Manchester. This is very close to Chesterton-on-Foss, right? This next site. This site is known as Dawn, right? And you can basically clearly see there that it was excavated in the 1930s, 1937, 1939. Now, this doesn't look like a massive site, right? Hang on a minute, I've gone the wrong way. This doesn't look like a massive site. Little streets, it's not really well organized, is it? It's not really the sort of the playing card shape. It's this really odd shape type of site. And it's been damaged and it's been cut into by a railway cutting. So we've known a little bit about that. It's been extensively ploughed out. But again, back to that question, if it had a big wall around it, how has the wall been ploughed out and destroyed? Where's the stone gone? And people argue that the stone went elsewhere. But I counter argue and say, if that's the case, how can we trace these stones? Obviously, there would be a place that we would know that that this material had come from a Roman site because they'd be dressed in a certain way. But we don't find that. So I've got these clear questions on how we understand and read these sites, because a lot more archaeological excavation is required. Now, the next site, and we'll no doubt look at these sites again. This is a site known as Manchester, right? Not Mancunian, which is the Roman name for Manchester. Manchester is associated with Birmingham, right? Manchester. Now, this is a rather interesting site because we've known about this site for the likes of Stukely, and this is associated with the Watling Street. But Manchester is also associated with the Boudiccan Rebellion. Some people believe that, like me, right, that the story about the Battle of Watling Street is probably more likely fictitious. One thing that we're told in regards to the Battle of Watling Street, right, and Boudica and her defeat, you know, hundreds of thousands of warriors against 4,000 Roman legionaries, and the Roman legionaries win, right? It's not the story that we talk about with Spartacus in the Spartacan rebellions of what is it, 74 BC or whatever, right? It doesn't look plausible. And then you add in the factor that you get bases like this near the Battle of Watling Street, which are not mentioned in the stories, but are not mentioned in the histories, which is really, really interesting, right? And this site ties in with the industrial side of stuff, right? It's alongside Watling Street, and this is really key to us understanding Roman era, Iron Age era, that period of Britain that has now slipped into the Roman world. And this is rather interesting from what's marked on the map. Drier for corn, but you've got this thing here that you've got pottery kilns, right? Multiple kilns, obviously south of Manchester itself. Now, when I mention the likes of pottery, industrial production, sometimes I mention that what we have is pottery itself coming from to the military in regards to black burnished ware, Duratrigi pottery from central, south, east, southwestern England, basically Wiltshire and that type of area. And I say that was placed on boats and so on, went all the way to the Roman legionary bases around Britain, right? That's black burnished ware. We find it everywhere. We find it at Hadrian's Wall. We find it in Wales. We find it all over the shop, right? But there are other people making pottery for the Roman military. There are people making pottery for general redistribution around the British landscape. And this is thanks to Manchester. There we go. So the pottery from Manchester does end up in North Wales. It ends up all the way up to the Antonine Wall. And this is all interesting stuff. And this is distinctive pottery. So the kilns at Manchester seem to have been located on the southwestern side of, which, if the prevailing wind was from that quarter, must have caused a considerable nuisance to those living alongside Watling Street. But nevertheless, there's an industry and things to be done. Now, I'm going to read a couple of interesting things. And one of them is more interesting than meets the eye. So the fortifications of this Watling Street enclosure, there we go, we call it enclosure, or we'll just, for the sake of argument, makes it easier, a little miniature town. There we go. It says for the excavations in 1927, 1954, 1964. A trench cut, an interesting, a lot was going on in 1927, including excavations at this glass shop in Colchester, and also interesting thing for Richard, the Jones's Dairies in Barry was established in 1927. Richard, don't go there. So interestingly enough, when they were excavated in 1964, probably near a gate, showed that timber buildings of the 100s and 200s had been demolished to make way for the defences. They combined a masonry wall, which had been robbed to the foundations, leaving a trench of 5.5 metres wide. So the big question is the robbing, right? So the basic, it says that the defences were dated to the 200s and the 300s, which would be typical. The only unexplained feature so far is the large ditch. But my question is that who robbed the wall? It's saying that no external towers have so far been identified. So the question is, who robbed the wall? Now, I feel that the answer is quite simple. The wall was probably robbed in the Roman period, and a wall was not required. So that's why we don't find walls around these places. And just think about it. By later periods, it would have all been overgrown and stuff, and but the wall's all entirely gone. And you're just thinking, what is going on? What is the true story? What is the true story of Roman era Britain? Because we're bringing Bill into the conversation. When you go to Venta Silurum, which is Caerwent, that wall was constructed in AD 300, and the towers were constructed precisely, I can give you a precise date, around AD 349, right? The towers. And the wall around Caerwent still survives. But you're thinking, how does it survive when they could have just looted it all to build the town? But they did build the town of Caerwent, we call it a little village or whatever. But you get what I'm trying to say now. There's something not quite about the history and archaeology. And what you also see here is that within this enclosed area, within the ditch, in the medieval period, you've got these ridge and furrow, right? Going in various different directions. And you could argue with me, you could say, actually, they removed the wall for the ridge and furrow. But if that's the case, why is there a ditch still around the outside, right? Oh, and I got to say, I was doing some film work last year, and nobody told me that there was a ridge and furrow field. So I started at the gate, and my car was just going bang, bang, bang over, right? Yes, I did some damage to my vehicle. But you see what I'm trying to get at with all of this. And what I'm going to say is this. We might actually do the next little subject, right? Weirdly enough, last night, I was left with a few slides, and I thought, right, it got to about 9:20, and we didn't finish then until 10, right? So I now know how to grade this. And you'll like the next image, and Richard will be particularly pleased. This image here, this is at the site of Oldchester, which we didn't do tonight, but you can clearly see that the clearness of the aerial photography here. And I'm not exactly sure when this was taken, right? It doesn't really matter when this was taken, but you can clearly see the landscape on all the different buildings. But the one mistake that lots of people do when they're looking at aerial photography, they always say, "Oh, that there is everything's contemporary. Everything was constructed and used at the same time," right? But there's a mistake in that, because aerial photography does not date the archaeology. It gives you an impression, right? So what you've got here is just one thing that we do know about aerial photography. Come day, go day, God sends Sunday, right? You might see it one day, but you might never ever see it again, right? So this is why you need to take photographs of these things pensively. Hang on a minute. Oh, hang on. My images is everything's gone out of sync, right? So what I might do is I might bring in. I did a build up then for something special. We'll do that after the break, folks. But one thing I want to do is this, right? And whoever's little bit rattling in the background, right? Can you just sort of not rattle too much, because it's getting a little bit distracting, right? So I did say to you that we've got a new archaeology company magazine coming out soon, a new look magazine, which will look really different from anything you've ever seen. But I've got to publish a nice, interesting field report by the end of September. So I've got to get moving, right? And this is the way it's coming out now. So we've got some new software. We've got a new way of looking at archaeology. So what we're doing is that the artifacts that we've got, they're all being graded professionally with the Munsell's chart. Everything's being weighed. Everything's being color coded, typed, and all the rest of it. And the new technology that we've got is basically reading all the information that we're putting into the database, comparing it with existing records. So by the time I get to publishing this report, right, it's already done, right? So it's already done for me. So it's great. So I'm working with somebody on this, and I'm looking forward to the end results, because I've never used this technology before. but it's technology that'll bring my level of reporting archaeology to another level. And this is what's interesting. But so far that we get from this, we've got these 3 objects. We've got another about quite a lot to go, to be honest. And we know that we know that from all of this that we've got 1 probable Roman artifact. We've got 2 medieval artifacts. A kerflume is basic. If anyone knows what a kerflume is like, it's a fire cover, right? So or you could use a kerflume to actually cover a plate which has got food on it on the table to stop the rats getting at it. So that's what a kerflume is. So more about this when we come to it, and that's a little bit what we've got. Really excited to have the Munsell's soil color chart, which cost a lot of money. When I say a lot of money, me spending 80 quid on a book from the United States, albeit 1973 edition, but nothing's changed since then with the Munsell's soil color chart. It's the same when you're grading pottery. That's what we're doing. So we're going to take a break now. That was the first part. So let's see if anyone's got anything else to say, and let's see where we are with that. And yeah, I've got an image, and it's not letting my face come up on the screen, which is a bit of a shame. So I'll have to rectify that by next week. But I am not going to mess around with this because everything's fine. So let's see. So am I right in thinking that there was one other person who was with us tonight? I don't know. Right. Anything you'd like to say, Goff, before we have our break?
No questions, no.
Anne, anything you'd like to say? Anne, Bill sent me a message. He said you've been a good girl, not interrupting, and he wants you to come up to my stag, and he's going to buy you a meal for being a good girl, Anne. So anything you want to say?
Oh, you are awful.
No, I'm just getting back on Bill. He deserves this. Go on, Anne.
Oh yes, we are going up to my stag sometime, aren't we?
You are.
Oh, just canals. I could not have seen a canal going through that picture of Mancunian.
Well, I think the last one was like there was the last one was Alchester, but yeah, there was something on it, right, which we will do again, right? There was something distinctively going through the middle of the image, and it looked distinctive. I'm not going to go with that being a canal, but you did spot that, Anne, and yeah, thank you. That was good.
All right. Okay. No, it's always interesting looking at maps and things.
Aerial views. Aerial
views. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, Anne. Bill, anything you'd like to say? Bill, if you want Anne to talk any further, I'll ask her. Bill, anything you want to say?
Well, many of the settlements you mentioned tonight, Carl, I'd never heard of. Kentchester, yes, but many not, associated and running close to
You see my point,
Street.
Yeah.
Just how many are there out there still to be discovered? Just how many?
Well,
we don't know, do we? We don't
Bill,
know.
Sorry, Bill, carry on. I'll interrupt.
No, just saying we don't know how many there are actually out there still to be discovered underneath farms.
Yeah. I do believe, right, that there's 1 or 2 Roman towns in Wales still to be discovered. Towns we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And if you're looking at boggy sort of type landscapes, which that type of thing, then that's what we could be looking at. But and we've got lots of river valleys, lots of erosion, right? The Miskin, for example, the Miskin, which is near the M4 motorway, the Miskin Roman fort wasn't found until a few years ago, and that's a Roman fort. And when I updated the book, I actually put it in there, and that's actually a Roman fort, and nobody had found it because it's along a river, and there's trees there. Nobody had found it. It was found by absolute accident. And okay, villas are found and so on, but we're talking about towns and stuff. And if we approach this in an interesting way, and we say, well, we're not necessarily looking for walls around a Roman town anymore. Nobody's really actually answered my question. Why do you get so many important Roman towns which have got walls still standing in the middle of nowhere? And why is it you got places that are also in the middle of nowhere with no wall still standing. And the answer that all the stone was taken away just doesn't eat mustard anymore. Even though you find footings of walls, it doesn't necessarily mean to say that that wall was complete height, which is the wrong interpretation every time. And we can now test that from the stress fractures on the stones in the base. And Bill knows the technique when we're looking at Brochs in Scotland, where there's stress fractures on stones because there's a lot of weight placed onto them below. Richard also knows that at St. Peter's Church as well. But, there's all these things to be tested. Bill, you got a good thing. There's lots of Roman places out there that are still to be worked on and discovered.
I'm just amazed by how much building went on there during those 400 years, far more than we realise. Far more, yeah.
Far more than we realise, yes. More. And then it puts the population numbers of Britain on another planet. Because can I just... Actually, this is still part of the presentation tonight, and which I'm going to do anyway. I come across a book which isn't that old, called Roman Conquest Britain by Simon Elliott, right? And the whole point of me mentioning the line in this book, right, is that lots of things change in regards to interpretation of Roman Britain, right? Now, at school, we were told that the Roman military left Britain, and Honorius said that the British people were meant to look for their own defences. My take is very different. The Roman military did stay here because we got archaeological evidence for it. This author's take, a third take on this, is AD 410, the British aristocracy throw off their Roman administrators. But then there's a dichotomy, because the British aristocracy are the Roman administrators, because they are part of the Roman system. So how that works, I don't know, because but we're also talking about the new establishment of the diocese of Christianity settings. So obviously, Christianity is now cut adrift in Britain. Maybe that's what they're talking about. But then you go back in 410, the Western Emperor Honorius allegedly tells the Britons to look to their own defences. But we now know that's to do with a place in southern, in Italy called Bretonia, right? And then you start to think that all of this is really weird. And then you look at another fact in this book, AD 430, the effective end of coin use in Britain. Well, if you're not under Roman control anymore, right, why would you still be using Roman coins in Britain? It's a bit like using for example, the EU in Britain, which we never did. Years after we left, years after Brexit, that would make sense. So all of these things are really, really interesting. But I think it's all based upon looking at the archaeological evidence, giving us the archaeological fact, giving us the archaeological evidence to tell us and respond to questions, i.e. the wall scenario, i.e. when these places were abandoned, i.e. how many of these places were and what was going on in them. So thank you for that, Bill. Right. Owen, is there anything you want to say, babe?
Yeah, enjoyed that. But as Bill was saying about all the sort of building that was going on during that period, I'm wondering what's going to be found now after this drought, if they put drones up and stuff like that.
Well, Owen, I can quickly answer that question, right? We did actually have a little bit of a talk, which you may have missed, about some of the photographs from the drought. But in response to Toby Driver, the Royal Commission on Ancient Historical Monuments, a near enough quote from Toby: "You've got to be doing aerial photography just before the drought gets severe. Now you can't see anything across the landscape because the entire landscape is parched, right?
Right.
But answer your question, it has happened. We have found some sites, and
Lovely.
some of these sites may never ever be seen ever again, or some of them might be.
That's great. Thanks.
Because the conditions that we have are very different than any that we've ever had before, or at least since 1976. So,
yeah.
So we can answer that one. Henry, anything lovely?
I was going to steal Richard's thunder and say most interesting.
Now we go on to Richard. Richard's got to say something else. Oh, Henry, anything else you want to say?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Right, and anything else you want to say, Richard?
Yeah, I was when you're saying, about all these small settlements and everything.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know how many modern villages, you know, sort of from the medieval times on, are just built on top of a Roman, you know, Romano-British sort of village, fort, whatever.
Bricks.
Because I was
Stone.
thinking, you know, when they found the whatever you're going to call it in Barry, the naval base,
the official building, lovely
yeah,
Carly. Yes.
the official building. I've got someone gave me a picture that's about probably getting on 100 years old, and it's before anything was built on top of it.
Yeah.
And it's not an aerial shot. It's taken with a camera, obviously, sort of at the hill, and you
Yeah.
can virtually you can make out all the foundations of the Roman site.
Mm. Mm.
And
But in the 20s, they just came along and just built all that YMCA and everything just straight on top of it.
yeah. And
You know,
yeah, the tennis ground.
Howard Thomas only found it because there were a couple of stones started coming up through the tennis court that they built.
Or did he find it because he saw that image in the first place? Don't go there.
I don't know. Depends where this photo came from.
The thing is even with John Story, we're told that John Story found the Roman villa in 1886 at Llanmaes in Llantwit Major. But then if you look at Iolo Morgannwg's work, Iolo Morgannwg does mention something, and Iolo Morgannwg's work is dismissed as bunkum. But then Iolo Morgannwg is describing Roman columns found in a field, exactly the same thing found by John Story. He's describing statues, he's describing various different things. And lo and behold, this villa is found by complete accident as John Story's looking for mushrooms happened to be in a field, and he finds a Roman villa. So and the one point that you've just made, Richard, right? Okay, Richard, I'm going to take back some of my words. Yeah, Howard Thomas did find that. Let's give him that. Excellent. But you know, he may have been aware of something. But anyway, give him that. If it wasn't for him, the site would have been destroyed. Thank you very much, Howard Thomas, for find the site in Barry. But you just made a point there, Richard, that
it's like most of these sites, unless you've got someone who's actually interested in history and what was previously there.
Yeah.
Or you've got the sort of people who just say, well, sod that, and I'm building that anyway.
Well, actually, if I take you to task on that one, it was just 2 points. The first point is that you are right. There's probably a lot of archaeological sites out there that are based on earlier sites that are going to be lost forever because we can't go through the medieval sites to work out where the Roman sites are. And the best example of it is Old Sarum, right? Old Sarum is built on a Roman villa, right? Except you're never going to be able to excavate it because there's a moat on. You know, I can remember when I went to Old Sarum when I was about 10 years old, I had an argument with the custodian there. And I said, well, this is based on a Roman site. And he said, no, it's not. No, it's not. And I don't know where I got that from, but years later, it turned out there is a Roman site underneath Old Sarum, right? And the interesting thing is, well, that when we look at the Marlborough Mound, which is, again, not far away from Old Sarum at all, that mound is thought to have been built as a Mott and Bailey site, right? But it turned out it's actually until they actually started looking at it, they actually found out it's like a bit like Silbury Hill. It's a third the size, but this was built in the Neolithic period. So unless you really test these things, you can't really say one for another what they are, right? And actually, one thing that I was thinking of doing today, and I want to say one other thing. We're gonna have to take a break after. We really do, because we're gonna run out of time tonight otherwise. But I'm thinking about doing a presentation on archaeology of the First World War, because there are images of people digging trenches and they're finding Roman mosaics. That would be absolutely bloody brilliant, but it's going to be very difficult to track down those images. And I want to do that. But you know, when we, you know, there's so much out there that we need to understand, and so much is wasted on, you know, recording finds for metal detect enthusiasts and encouraging that. And when in fact we should be looking at our basements in museums, understanding our archaeology, and not kowtowing to people who've got hobbies that want to destroy our history and archaeology. And we've got to really start to understand the past to give us the answers, and we're lacking some. So and so let's move on. Let's have a little break, and we'll have quite a short break today. We'll have a 9-minute break. It's we'll be back at 8:30. So I gotta get a cup.
Yeah.
Joking.
Right, here we go. This is number one. Oh.
My mother.
The sheep shagging.
A cigarette in your mouth.
Well, that's me.
No, you should have a cheroot.
The problem is, if I mess around with this setting now, we're never going to get this done. So,
Oh no, that's all right then. What are you actually there?
well, is it me or is it Dave?
For you. But you're just, still.
Ooh.
Well, who else is it going to be other than me? Look at Richard; he's so confused.
Oh dear.
Well, actually, I'm between me and you. That is actually Gary Tiley sitting in the seat where Richard is.
Who?
Gary Tiley's a Barry historian.
Oh gosh.
Right, let's crack on.
That Lovelock bloke was so young. He's only your age.
Shut up. Anyway, his name is banned from my lectures, so shut up.
Oh, all right. Well, no wonder you're annoyed because you're doing what you're doing.
No, I'm very annoyed because he's taken a load of my original ghost stories and printed them in his own books. That's why I'm annoyed. He's plagiarized lots of my work. Anyway, let's crack on.
Okay, all right. Well, I am a bit, yeah. I do feel that it's all kind of, coming round again, the archaeology and because all these people, they're probably retiring now, or they haven't got any jobs or something, so they're teaching. But he probably is a teacher. I don't know.
No, he's not. He's a barrister.
Oh.
Anyway, let's crack on with what we're doing. So we're gonna move to where we're going now, and we're gonna hopefully the image is gonna come up straight away. And this should have been the image that I should have led on to after when we finished, but we obviously went on to the other subject. So I'm just trying to get onto this image. It should be showing. Where is it?
Ditch. The ditch. No.
No, it's not a ditch. Now, I have been well, actually the book that me and Richard have worked on is actually almost done. I'm just waiting for a last proofread. I'm actually setting images into the book. I'm taking images out and resetting them and all sorts of things, right? But this is a story that I've had to put into the book that Richard doesn't even know, or I've mentioned it before, and I'm not going to give too much away. But there's aerial photography, and there's what you can see on the ground, and there's what you can actually see on the ground, which nobody else will ever see again, right? So in 1989, when I went to the Bulwarks in Porthkerry, I was wandering around with my camera that I had back then, and you can see a perfect type ellipse, right? And I actually recorded about a dozen of these across the site known as the Bulwarks, right? And these are roundhouses. These have never ever been seen as aerial photographs. And I recorded these, and to test this out, 2 weeks later, I went with my school pal Pablo Einan with his camera, and we took more photographs, and I did a map of these on the site. Now, I never ever published this. Nobody on the planet knows about this. And there's another site at the same time that I actually found similar things as well. And it happened to be a freak of the conditions. Now, you will not see these ever again unless the conditions are correct. Basically, what had happened, they must have cut the grass at a weird time of year. And then when it was stunted and trying to come through, this was in sort of January, late January. And then I went back there in early February and they're still there. And a few weeks later, they were gone, right? So I just wanted to share this with you guys and just say that it's not just about aerial photography.
Oh,
Also, we also have, when I did my Leicester University degree stuff, there's also another type of detection on the ground, not field walking, but it's basically soil marks. Now, soil marks work very similarly to aerial photography where crops are growing or the landscape's parched, as Del mentioned. But with soil marks, you can wander across a field and you can see the normal soil, and you can see if it's chalk-like landscapes like Wiltshire, you can see a white staining, and then you're back into the normal color, right? And this is really well defined from above, but as aerial photography, this can also be tested on the ground when there's no crops there and it's just the soil. But with aerial photography, when you're looking for crop marks, you can't find them on the ground. That's the difference, right? But with soil marks, you can. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of education there.
what will we
Now,
do?
we've already done this bit, so we don't need to do this again. But I'll be working more about the West Ridge archaeological report in over the next few weeks, and I've got to get this completed by the end of the month, end of September actually. So I'm going to be working on this now. To be fair to good old Henry, right? Lesser the old, right? And by the way, I've got to put my light on. So I haven't put my light on. Let's put my light on. There we go. I've got my lights on again. Where's my light? Right. I asked Henry and Richard. I wasn't sure Richard got the message, or he looked, or he was too busy, or he went away. But Henry looked up to answer a question. It was a technical question. And I know it's not going to be word for word, Henry, but I'll give it a go. I asked Henry, I said, look, can you find any Roman tiles that have got the name or close to the name of the Roman name of Cowbridge on them, right? Which would be Bomium or Bovium, right? Now, this is what good old Henry come up with. He basically said, and actually, I was thinking a bit more. Yeah, I think he answered it in the way that I thought, and there's a meaning behind all this in a minute. So bear with me, folks, please. So Roman tile production site at Hull, traditionally identified at Bovium. So there's a Bovium up north, there's a Bovium in Cowbridge, or a Bomium, depending, just mess the M and the V around. But the one near Holt, which Anne mentioned earlier on, she mentioned that's not too far away from the Rosset Roman excavation that they're doing at this minute. So he basically came up with Holt. Bovium is directly linked with the 20th Valley Vitrix Legion, which was eventually based at Diva, Chester, which manufactured extensive roofing tiles and brick stamp with their legionary badge. Holt itself is associated with a mass manufacturing area, not just for tiles, but pottery. So he got this information, but he didn't actually get he didn't get the stamp of Bovium on tiles. He got the stamp of the 20th Valley of Vitrix Legion, which was interesting. But the name Bovium was not found on tiles at Holt. So there we go. Large-scale industrial complex with multi-tile kilns, drying sheds, and so on. So we mentioned that. And the other thing as well is he did pick up partly what I wanted. And this is all internet research, right? There is a point coming. So there we go. He got that, Bovium. It's also known as Bomium. It's the name Halton down here is the same. But the site of Bovium is understood to be, by most of us archaeologists, as Cowbridge. So excavations at local Roman bath house sites yielded bricks stamped by the 2nd Augustus Legion, Legio 2nd Augusta, right? And that was in Cowbridge at the bath house site, which is at the Arthur Johns car park. It's actually still there, but underneath the car park, right? They gave permission to the archaeologists to excavate, and actually the John family, they're always friendly when I go there, and they're really nice people. I was going to do an excavation there years ago, but didn't get around to it. Now the point with, and actually there's something wrong about that. I think they only found one stamp with the 2nd Augusta Legion on it, but I could be wrong there. So the question is did the internet pick up what I wanted? Partly, but it didn't, because in this book here, that I never knew this until I looked this up. in this book here dated 1979, which was a couple of years after the excavations of Cowbridge had started in 1977 by the Glamorgan Gwent Archaeological Trust and the main high street in Cowbridge. Basically, they found two tiles stamped with BOV at the site of Witton Crossroads, which is just a stone throw away from Cowbridge. The name BOV would have been tile stamps that are associated with Bovium or Bovium, which is Cowbridge. And there's two of them, right? So that in itself would prove the name Bovium or Bomium in that locality, if not directly Cowbridge itself. But this was not found with any internet search that Henry did. Henry's really good at his internet search, and he puts a lot of effort into it. So does Richard. But neither of them found what's published in this book. So the reason why I wanted to go down this avenue is basically because not everything is on the internet. It never, ever will be. And I'll just mention this, that BOV may indicate the name of the local settlement for which Bovium, perhaps to be amended to Bovium, i.e. Cowbridge. And that's written in this book. The book doesn't lie. There are two. I didn't know these existed. I had no idea. BOV, Bovium, Bomium, with the archaeological excavations in the 1970s at Witton Crossroads. There you go. So I would just want to put that in there. So the next bit tonight is, we can come back to that, and there it is in print there. There it is. BVO may indicate the name of the local settlement. And there you go. Bovium, perhaps to be amended to Bovium. So, and the other thing as well is historians still argue whether Bovium, Bomium is actually Cowbridge, which is mad when you've got these tile stamps just down the road at St. Lythans, and they've obviously come from the manufacturing spot, Cowbridge itself. Anyway, so I've got I've got one last thing to do tonight, right? And it's looking at the building that we've got in West Wales, the round building. And I thought this was rather interesting when I was thinking about this. Now, when we put the building up, we spent hours and days putting a render on these boards underneath this paneling, right? So this sort of this withy paneling on top, right, has been put on in the past 6 months, right? But all this underneath was painted. All this underneath was rendered really thick, right? And was given some beautiful paint, which cost a fortune, lime paint. But because it's West Wales, because the rain penetrates the render on the outside of buildings, right, it just washes it all off. And lots of places, if you go to mid Wales, they don't have render on the outside, they have slates. Like they have slates on the vertical facing of the buildings, right? And I got really thinking about this. And the reason why I got really thinking about this is that I started to think when I thought, right, what we need to do over this. I said to Michelle, I'm going to put linen. I'm going to put sheets of linen, and we're going to get any old paint, right? And we're going to paint over the linen, right? And it's waterproof now. And Michelle said we put these withies over it and we'll render it again and we'll paint it. Well, she doesn't really need to do that because it's waterproof. And you know what, everybody? It really got me answering another question. And what was that question? We'll go on to the last image tonight, and it's a real corker, right? But I don't want to do it yet because it'll take the fun away, right? So when I was in Shetland with my university lecturer Simon Clark, right? He basically took me to a place called Giles Hoff, which is a Broch building, which is Iron Age Broch building. And he basically took me in there with Michelle, and he said, look down there, there's render on the inside of the building. And we could see it. It was render and it was painted red. There was little bits of it left from the Iron Age. It was still there, right? And that was great, loving it. And then he tricked me up. He said, obviously, they rendered the outside, didn't they, Carl? And I said, well, did they? And he said, yeah, they did. Oh, okay, they must have. No, they didn't, he said, right? It was that type of conversation, right? And he said they didn't render the outside of the buildings, right, because of the same problem that we get in West Wales, that if you render it, the rain will just wash it away, right? So, but then I'm left with the question, if there's render on the inside of the buildings, right, water would penetrate that, it would remove the render on the inside, and then you've got no render, but there is render on the inside of the buildings. So this was my answer, right? And then we put together this reconstructed drawing. Isn't this great? Not that the reconstruction of the roof is ideally what I wanted, right? But this is what I wanted, right? This on the outside. And you're thinking, oh, Carl, they didn't have the acrylic type of sort of paints that we've got today, but they did have fixatives like egg yolk and egg white. I think it's egg white, actually. No, it's not egg yolk, it's egg white. Sorry, made that mistake. So what we've got here, right, is that we've got build a dry stone wall, right? The problem is if you go to Skara Brae, what you do see with Skara Brae is that if you look through the dry stone walls at Skara Brae, you can clearly see that the wind will just blow through it. So how did they keep these places warm? How did they keep them insulated, right? If they didn't render the outside of the buildings? Well, we're giving you maybe an answer, right? And look at that there, attaching hides or textiles. So you could use hide skins, you could use various textiles, but none of this would leave any evidence in the archaeology, right? But it would be quite easy to hang these pegs to support the textile. So then you're thinking about, okay, Carl, this is sort of okay, right? But then what happens next? So applying a base coat, fat, oil, resin mix, and we'll discuss that with the stuff at the bottom, right? And then you add further coats over time. And then you finish the waterproof exterior. And you actually start to think, well, you don't need, let's go to the stuff at the bottom of the corner of the screen, right? You don't need this really. If you've got lime, right, you could lime wash the outside of the skins, right? And it would make it like an impermeable layer. But then I thought, hang on, if you use lime, right, it's going to start to eat away at the hide, right? Because what do they use lime for? They put it on bodies, right? So it's going to eat away at the hide. So that's probably not the most practical thing. So then what you then do, you look at all of this. So you think possible natural coating mixtures, right? Experimental archaeology. So animal fat and ochre, right? So you might use a fixative like egg white, right? Fish oil charcoal, that's really interesting because you've got fish oil reacting charcoal, lots of oil in there. That could maybe just be placed on as it is. Beeswax and resin, right? That would work really well. Probably needed something else mixed with it. Resin and ochre, well, if you look at some of the resins from pine trees, right, and you know from Jurassic Park that what they were after in the film, they were looking after amber. Resin is actually resin, right? It's except very old resin, which is set over time. And when that sets on, for example, hides, that will not only act as a weatherproof, it'll act as a preservative for the hides themselves. And you've got like sort of a potash sort of mix type thing. You've got plant ash and oil, right? So this all mixed together, and with the oils and stuff, that would give you this sort of experience with the buildings, right? And we're not going to look at the roofs, and maybe for me, the roof isn't correct. So the building that we've got is 6.5 meters in diameter, right? This one is 12 meters in diameter, absolutely bloody huge. However, right, when you think about roofing, we don't really know about roofs in the Iron Age in Britain or the Bronze Age or the Neolithic period. We don't really know, right? We're still debating, right? We're still debating, for example, Skara Brae, whether they used washed up timber for the roofs, or whether they used bound together bones from Wales and so on. But the best type of roof is something that doesn't have ventilation, right? And that might sound nuts, right? But the one thing about not having ventilation is that eventually, after you light a fire, the smoke line does actually settle, and below that, if you're burning the right stuff, right, not plastic or anything like that, if you're building the right stuff, right, below that there's no smoke layer. You've got nice flame and sort of got a smoke layer, right, and that settles, and eventually that makes its way out through various gaps and stuff, right. So if we and some of you might disagree with this or whatever, but we're not too far away from the end of the lecture today either. But why cover the external walls on Shetland? Heavy rain and driving wind would quickly wash away clay render. Instead, organic coverings such as hides or woven textiles fixed over the dry stone walls and treated with layers of paint or other water resistant mixtures could provide an effective waterproof skin. There is another thing that you could put in here, just a little bit of a curveball. You could actually stuff all the gaps with wool, right? And then you could coat that over, and that makes an impermeable layer through the gaps. But I think that would be too time consuming, and maybe sort of having layers on the outside is probably better, really. So hides, even seal hides, sheep and cattle, whole or stitched panels, woven wool or linen textiles. The thing is with linen textiles and woven wool, once you've painted it over it, it's like a solid layer, right? The stuff that we used, the linen, right, is like knocker stuff. It's solid, right? So you put that with wooden pegs. Guys, I've used staples, sorry. Bone pins, rawhide thongs for fixing. Natural coatings, as we know, beeswax, resin, ochre, charcoal, and ash. So, and there we got, basically covers overlap to shed water. So the key to all of this, is you can see that there's a slight overlap for the roof, right? Not a massive overlap for the roof, a slight overlap. It's not really shown in this properly, right? And the slight overlap is really important, right? You don't have too much overlap. And reason why? Well, if the wind can take away the render, the wind can take away the roof. So if you have too much of an overlap, the wind gets under the overlap, starts to destabilize the roof, and then it takes away the roof in a storm. We've realized that overlapping it just doesn't work. It really, really doesn't. If it's not attached to the building, it does. But anyway, so we've got that lashing in there, sort of, we've got the wall head there, and it's secured by the base as well, weighted stones or sort of, pegged in there. And it's saying coating gives water resistant and UV protection. Well, I don't think the UV stuff is really relevant, but the main thing about these buildings is that you need to keep the wind out, because if you've got wind coming in, it's going to be smoky and it's just going to be no good, right? So dry stone walls for strength and insulation, organic coverings create a continuous waterproof skin. So coatings shed water and resist wind penetration. Materials are locally available. All this stuff is easier to maintain and repair than clay render in extreme weather. So I just wanted to share that with you tonight. And if obviously anyone's got any objections to that, they can definitely tell us. But I'm just going to show you this. I've been putting this on for weeks, and there's the lamb, right? And you could just think that actually inside as well, the render's actually starting to come loose inside. So we're going to do the same principle inside as we're getting outside. So I think we'll call that a day, right? So that's a good place to end. Nice time to end as well tonight. So I'm just going to quickly make sure that I've done everything that I needed to, and I'm just going to look through all my images. I've done that, and all the rest of it. We got a few questions to answer now at the end, so that's fine. And this means that I can look at subjects that I've been putting off for a while with that Monday, the first Tuesday and Wednesday of the month. So what I'm going to do is, maybe if you guys have got any things that you want me to cover, which are not Roman, you can spit them out now. And Bill, Richard can't say the usual tonight because he's got to answer a specific question. So there we go. Richard.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, the question is, Henry, shut up. Richard. Richard, no, oh my God, have I got to lead too much into this? I've given you an opportunity to, if there's a subject you want us to do, right, anything, right, you can even talk. I can even do the archaeology of the old Sarum medieval brothel, right? Anything you want, but anything you want to say, Richard, now.
I can't think of anything offhand. I'll think of something for next week.
All
How's
right, then,
that?
fair enough. Okay, everyone's got one thing that they could choose. We've done something like this before as well, so
Yeah, I'd
that's
have
good.
to have a think.
Okay, right. All right then. Thank you for that, Bill. He didn't do it this week. Go on, Bill. Go on, Richard. Go.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
Well done, Bill. Bill. I know. Engineering wise, some of the things I've said tonight. Maybe you want to come back at that. I don't mind. But go for it.
Well, when we were at Scarlet Bray, I often thought, what was the roof covering? Because there were no timber forests in the Neolithic period up there. So, yeah, whale bones and any driftwood, I suppose, and possibly animal hides.
Yeah.
On top, yeah, that's one. The other thing, Cowbridge, you mentioned the bathhouses, remains of the bathhouses were under the car park in Cowbridge.
When you go to Arthur John's, you got the one at the front, and you got Arthur John's in the lane at the back. So you got North Lane. So basically, you go into the town hall, right, and you go left, right, instead of going to the car park on the right, and you just go around the corner, and you come across Arthur John's, and there's a little sign there saying Roman bathhouse, right, but the bathhouse is actually underneath the car park. It's still there.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay, it's interesting. I'll do that, Carl. No, that's fine, Carl. One thing I want to say is that next Tuesday, the Bridgend County Heritage Month starts, and I'm tied up with that. And most of the events are on a Wednesday evening, unfortunately, so I won't be with you now till the latter part of October.
Yeah.
And we're kicking off next Wednesday, a week today, with the lovely Janina Ramirez.
Oh,
that's where you're going.
Yeah. And there's a series of talks and walks, and I'm taking a walk up onto Margam Mountain as well as part of the organizations, you know. But if you get a chance to look at the program, Arwen Trust, who actually organized all this, have done a cracking job last year, and this is the second time they've done it now in organizing these talks with all the local history groups in the Bridgend County involved in doing something, you know. So it's a feather in the cap, I think, of them and my stake and Bridgend County in particular. So that's the reason I won't be here now until the latter part of October.
But you haven't told us why you're not here in October, Bill.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm in Crete, walking in Crete. And if I find any ancient Greeks buried anywhere, I'll dig them up and take a photograph for you. Yeah? And bring you back a present.
Yeah, that'd be good. And Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did mention I you know what, it's the halva. I do want some. Yeah, that'd be good.
Baklava, yeah, got it, Carl.
Something like that. And Bill, that will mean that we'll have to meet in a dodgy restaurant somewhere, and I'll have to buy you a cup of tea.
What?
But mind you, at that moment, we'll just go in there as they stop serving. So I did try, Bill.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you do your best. I know that. I know you.
Enjoy your holiday.
Okay, enjoy your holiday, Bill. You will be missed sincerely. But if you have an evening that you're a bit crook and you haven't done the Wednesday, then you're welcome to come and join us.
Yeah, I might slip the odd one in the next 2 months. Yes. Okay, thanks, Carl.
My pleasure, Bill. Have a good one. We'll miss you. Right. Okay, Anne. What we'll do, Anne, you've got to be on your best behavior when I ask Bill in Goff in a minute. So, Anne, anything you want to say?
I was asking if Bill enjoyed his family reunion holiday.
Yes, thank you, Anne.
Good. And the other thing is, are you doing this? Your building?
Oh no, this is the archaeology caravan that we had some nice donations from archaeology community Cymru members, and they've paid for this caravan, which weirdly enough, when we bought it, has actually got its electricity is still intact, which is absolutely brilliant.
So this thing you're showing us, the wattle and door bit, you know.
Oh right, no, that's the other one. That's the buyer type thingamajig. Yeah.
It's not. Oh, it's not your house, your Iron Age house.
Yeah, that is the Iron Age. It's an Iron Age buyer rather than a
Oh, right.
house. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Iron Age buyer that we store all the stuff and we feed the animals and we
Oh,
treat the
right.
animals.
Okay.
And it's where Michelle works. It's all there. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Great.
So right, Goff. Anything you want to say, darling?
No, it's really good. I quite like the little article about Bovium, you know, because I suppose that's local.
Yeah.
And, with regard to what Bill was saying, I think I'll look online and see what's going on in Bridgend next month, and might pop in.
Do so, Goff. Yeah, do. Yeah.
It's all online, is it, Bill?
Yeah, it should be.
And don't interfere.
Yeah, I might do that. Sounds interesting.
Okay. But by the way, Goff, Anne might be at one or two of them.
Oh yeah, well, just let me know and I make sure I'm there.
Not in Bridgend.
Hang on a minute, Anne. Goff has the right to go to Bridgend. Not that he wants to, but hang on a minute. You can't say he can't go because he doesn't live in Bridgend. That is bias.
No. He's fine. He's fine. Of course, you can go to my steak.
That's very kind of you, Anne. Thanks very much.
You have permission, Goff.
But you do need, if you can get hold of one of the programs.
Well, that's what I just said, Anne.
I didn't have programs that I could have sent to people.
No, go online. It's okay.
They were giving them away at the library last week.
They're all on Facebook.
There we are.
There you go, Anne. We've worked it out, Anne. Don't worry about it. It's all
right then. I haven't booked anything.
Anne, it's okay. It's fine. We don't need to know. Anne, we love you lots.
Let me know what days you've booked.
They're a lovely bunch of people.
Shut up, Goff.
My steak.
Oh my God.
My God, I still got to ask Owen and Henry. Henry, we're going to have sense at the end, okay? Owen, anything you want to say, Dab?
Yeah, that was really good. Thank you for, for organising it all and doing it. And I would like to say, for the future ones, Etruscans.
Yes.
Because they always look like a good, miserable bunch of people.
I think the Etruscans are not miserable, but we got Etruscans down. So that's definitely...
Yeah.
And one of the complaints on Tuesday was that we've been with you so long, Carl. It's almost as if the ancient Egyptians never existed. And I thought, right, okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Right. There's a rough point about the ancient Egyptians. There was this one time I deliberately I was planning to do an ancient Egyptian lecture in sort of Bridgend. And I was asked to do it. And that same day, I was given a role on a TV series, right? And because everyone had made such a fuss, right, I turned the role down to give the lecture. And the person who wanted me to do the lecture didn't turn up at the Egyptian lecture. And I was so absolutely off, right? So I stayed away from Egypt since then. But we will do an Egyptian lecture. We will, Del. But naturally, when you think about it, Del, right, if we do one a month for the next year, that's only 12 lectures. So,
Oh, lovely.
So, right, Henry.
Right,
bye
all.
Say something before you interfere with Henry.
It wasn't that horrible man in Knowlton Church who...
No. It was somebody else. It was somebody else. So don't worry about it. Right, Henry. Is there anything you want to say, love?
Right. Very good tonight. Enjoyed it.
I'm going to smoke a fag while you do it. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Don't set fire to yourself because you're in a combustible environment.
Yeah, true.
I did send you pictures on, this will interest Bill, bridges.
Bridges.
Yes, go on.
And very old bridges. And have you thought of looking into that?
Well, if we're going to do a lecture on bridges, it will have to be in November. So
Quite a good
archaeology
one.
of bridges, which we haven't done. I don't think we've done that at all. Archaeology of bridges, yeah.
Stone bridges I'm talking about.
Oh, stone.
Stone, yeah. That's a
Oh,
nice
there's a
bit of
good, there
stone.
was a nice one in oh
Bridgend.
where it was now.
And that'll do. And that'll do. Right. Thank you for that, Anne. Henry, stop it. Stop it. Henry, anything else you want to say, darling?
I think I'm not quite joining Bill, but I won't be here for next week, and then I got to clock up some air miles for the rest of September,
Yeah.
Oh,
and then I think the Northern Arctic calls for October.
Northern Arctic. Well, that's good.
Yeah, we've got to see someone up there.
All right. Oh, okay. Okay. We won't talk about
you
our
won't
friends.
ask who. He's dead now anyway.
How can he see anyone who's dead?
You know
David,
who I'm thinking of, David Hockney.
no,
Northern.
Arctic.
No, not bloody Northern England, you stupid woman. Oh, my God. Please. I can't handle this. I need drugs after this.
I don't know. I can't hear anyone. Sorry.
No. When he says Northern, he doesn't mean David Hockney in Northern bloody England. He means he's off. Shut up. I can't do this. Right. Okay. Anyone got anything else they want to say? I know what Goff's going to say. He's going to say, "Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah, good night.
Hang on, I'm gonna have the last word, right? Bill, you have a good time. We'll see you soon. Henry, we will miss you. And guys, thank you for joining us tonight. And Richard, keep in touch. And Goff, I'll be in, yeah, that's brilliant. So thank you. Good night, Goff, Richard, Bill, and Henry. Appreciate
All have a
it.
good time.
Bye, everyone. Night,
Bye,
night.
folks.
Bye, bye,
The
bye,
drugs
bye,
don't
bye,
work,
bye,
Anne.
bye,
Night.
bye, bye.
The drugs don't work.
Did you really? Do you want me to get Pat to come up for a meal and go around?
Yeah.
Bill?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Bill's already gone.
All right. Okay. Oh, when's the September chapel thing?
I'm gonna take up some kind of addiction. I am. Like I don't know.
Where's the chapel? St. Baruch's chapel. Do you know?
I'm gonna turn to Christianity. I just had enough of this. Right. It's the 27th of September, Anne.
Okay, then that's fine.
All
Great.
right.
So we gotta try and come up. Oh, we'll probably come to that. Is it on a Saturday or a Sunday?
Oh,
don't worry. I'll sort it out.
I think it's on a Sunday, doll.
I might get some of the people from.
Oh no, yeah, it's on a Saturday.
I was hoping to get some of the people from Pencoy to come because it's gonna go on and on, isn't it? And we're never gonna get over there.
Oh, don't. And it's all for the good of the country, you know.
All right, Dan. Good night.
And you've got to do the right thing in society now. So there you go.
Yeah. Okay then.
You've got to support the Prime Minister. He's doing a great job.
Oh right, yeah. Okay.
He's doing a great job.
He's going to build a lot of houses in Manchester.
He's gonna get some more buses for Barry.
Oh, that'd be nice. We could do with some in Bridgend and all. A bus an hour we get out here.
Yeah, well, there's a certain reason for that, but I won't tell you.
All right. Okay. Ta-ra then. All the best. Have a good week.
And you, Anne. Take care. Oh God, I need an enema. I really do. Oh, you're still there, are you, Henry? Oh, she was close on comedic tonight. She was close on her old self.
I think you need to take some tablets and lie down in a darkened room.
I just go outside and lie down in the field and let the sheep trample all over me, which I probably like doing. So, oh my bloody God. Oh, flip my
I'll
neck.
send you the dates that I'm not around.
Yeah, I really appreciate getting the money over as well. And but that was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? But yeah, anyway, thanks for that. And yeah, bridge thing would be interesting. We don't do a comparison thing, and that's a lot more easier to do than meets the eye. So
Well, I think I sent you a picture of a bridge, which is an odd one from Dingle, which I'm still trying to work out why they built a stone bridge in Dingle, because you've never been, but you'll realise how obscure the place is.
Dingle is in Scotland.
No, Dingle's the west coast of Ireland in Kerry.
Oh, because there's a Dingle in Scotland. So,
yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough.
But the other one was the other pictures are from a pack horse bridge in Scotland on the way up to Inverness.
Hang on,
I don't know if you probably have lost those somewhere in your archive.
You just said you sent them over now, so
a week ago.
Did you?
Yeah, but if you need them again, just give me a shout.
Hang on a minute. I'm just looking. I haven't cleared this yet. Some of your stuff goes to junk mail, which is not a nice thing, but that's life.
That's probably appropriate.
Not really. Oh, for God's sake, John, I've got to go through all the junk mail stuff because it's like it's probably there somewhere. Yeah, I'll find it. I'll find it. If it's been sent, it should be a. I haven't come across it in this, but yeah, Chris Evans, Magic Win Casino, Muddy Matches. I think something to do with drugs probably. Yeah, Canadian Revenue Agency. Right, that's good. God,
yeah, let me just.
Actually, it's not coming through. I don't. Hang on. What I'll do this now.
There we go. Hold on, I'm just coming over. Just gone to you now. WhatsApp.
WhatsApp? Oh.
Yeah.
You sent it via WhatsApp?
Yeah, just done it.
What you send it via WhatsApp for?
Well, you can have a look at it.
Yeah, but you don't send things to me by WhatsApp, do you?
Yeah, frequently.
Oh, fucking hell. You sent this to my archaeology thing, right?
Yeah.
Right, I got the tile question thing here. Now.
Yeah, it's gone to you on WhatsApp.
Oh, on WhatsApp! Oh my God! I thought you meant WeTransfer. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do need that darkened room. Sorry, you had to say WhatsApp 10 times. Right, yeah, hang on. WhatsApp, right, WhatsApp. And yeah. Oh, here we go. It's come through. Is that real? Oh, come on. That's not bloody real, surely.
Yeah, it is.
Are you sure that's not AI?
No, that is a pack horse bridge. And it's extremely steep and very narrow. It goes back to the 1700s.
Christ almighty. I bet you the IRA would just think, we'll just keep that there because the British Army won't use it anyway. That's amazing. But where's that
Scotland,
again?
That's Scotland on the way up to Inverness. So it's, I'd have to look up the name of the place again because we just came across it as we were just driving down the road and thought, what the hell is that?
Did you that's one of your photographs, is it?
Yeah, I was just going up to a little place on the northeast coast of Scotland, which I can't tell you where it is.
Caithness area, yeah. I got it. I put Inverness in there, so I know where it sort of is. So yeah, good. Right, excellent. Well, keep sending it forward, and that'll be good. And yeah, those what I was on about with the slows left is obviously because they're so totally impregnated with gin. they're so indestructible. Occasionally I'm there gnawing away at these things. And it seemed a bit of a waste throwing them out. So like little treats now and again. But
you do realise what they're doing to you.
What probably making me nuts.
Beyond that.
All right, fair enough. I don't know. Beyond. Oh God.
Right.
I'll get him. All right then. I can't see you. You can't see me. So that's quite a good.
That's a good way to end it. I'll leave you in peace.
All right then. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Night night.
Bye.
See you soon. Night night, Henry. Bye bye.
Bye.
Night night. Night night. Night night. Night night. Night. Anyway, guys, can't see my image on you, but many thanks for joining us tonight. This is Karl-James Anford. If you like and subscribe and join the channel, I'll be very, very grateful. Thank you very much. Not as much news on you recent as I have done. Been very, very busy. I might just have a sit down for a minute and just like chill out, actually. Makes a change. And I gotta get on with the farming. So thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr i chi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20. Nos da chi. No, no.